Because what we are doing is we are raising children who are not resilient. We are raising children with a lot of mental health challenges, and it is rooted in shame. If you study psychology, you will find that all of these mental health issues, from the personality disorders to the anxiety disorders to the depressive disorders, are rooted in shame. You know narcissism that we like to talk about a lot? That's shame. It is a person who believes deep down that there is something actually not good enough about them. And so they have to have all these sort of protective measures. That's why they behave the way they do. We have to change the way we are raising human beings, because we are breaking human beings. And I understand that a lot of it is just modeling. We were raised this way, and so we raise this way. We were raised being told that you are bad every time you make a mistake. We were raised being told that we're worthless drivers because we made a wrong turn. And so we are modeling that with our children, but we have to stop. We have to change it for the next generation, because this is what generational trauma is. It's passed on from generation to generation until somebody stops the cycle and says, I am going to heal myself and I'm going to do it better for the next generation. This is where we have to focus. And I am saying this, and I wish I could scream it from the highest mountain, because this is the root cause of our problems. I will tell you that this is the root cause of our problems. I travel a lot all over the world. I meet a lot of communities all over the world. And I hear a lot of the problems that the communities, the Muslim communities, are dealing with. And people will tell me we have problems with domestic violence. People will tell me we have problems with the youth leaving Islam. People will tell me we have problems with identity. People will tell me we have problems with all of mental health, divorce rate. We have problems in our marriages. We have all these problems, but you know what? The root cause of all of these problems is trauma. And we're not addressing that. And if we are not addressing that, then we are just putting Band-Aids on the gunshot wounds. We're taking Tylenol for a cancer, you understand? We have to address the root cause. And so when I looked at how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with his community again and again and again, I see that this is the opposite of shame. I'm going to give you another example. There was a man during the time of the Prophet ﷺ who was an alcoholic. He was actually found to be drunk in public. He would have to be helped to walk. He was that drunk publicly. And one of the other companions was so tired of seeing this man coming to the Prophet ﷺ drunk that he said, may Allah curse him. And the Prophet ﷺ stopped him. And he said, do not curse him, for I swear by Allah, if you only knew just how very much indeed he loves Allah and his messenger. Do not help shaitan against your brother. This is what we're learning. That when we shame one another, we are helping shaitan against our brother. We are not aiding our children. We're not helping our children. We're not helping the community through this. And so he said, now I want you to listen carefully. He did not define this man by his sin. Yes, this man was sinning. This man was drinking. That's a sin. But he said that this man's essence, his core, is actually still good. Do we know how to do that? Do we even know how to do that? How to look at someone who is imperfect and not turn their core into something bad? I argue we don't know how to do that because we were never taught. In our community, the way we treat one another, the way we raise our children, the way we learn in our madrasas, it looks at the behavior and says the behavior is bad, therefore they are bad. Simple. The behavior is not perfect, therefore that's a bad person. That's a bad Muslim. That's a bad daughter, son, wife, husband. I'm just going to tell you one thing. Do you guys know anyone in your life who has a really hard time admitting that they're wrong? Don't do that to your spouse, but y'all know what I mean. Maybe you've heard that before. You know what? Maybe someone's told you, you never can admit when you're wrong. Maybe you know this about yourself, if you're honest. Maybe, you've heard it. Do you know why that happens? This is deep, because you won't imagine this is the reason. Do you know why that person cannot admit when they're wrong? It's because when they were a child, they were taught that if you make a mistake, it means you're bad. It means that when they were a child, they were taught that if you make a mistake, you will be rejected. That if you make a mistake, you will be maybe debased, shamed. Love will be withheld. Maybe they got the silent treatment. Maybe they were told that they are bad. And so they became terrified of ever making a mistake or admitting. Do you see the problem? We are not like the Prophet ﷺ, where we are able to separate between the behavior and the soul of the individual. We have to be like the GPS, where we see those we love making wrong turns. And this applies to ourselves as well, because we are going to make wrong turns. How many of you are the type of person who, when you make a mistake, you beat yourself up? You know that inner voice that's really harsh when you make a mistake? Y'all don't have any idea what I'm talking about, right? Everyone's just not me. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That inner voice that beats you up when you made a mistake. When you're not perfect, when you let someone down. Oh boy, disappointing someone. That's hard. Do you know why that happens? Do you know where that voice came from? That is the voice of a parent. That is a voice that you heard when you made a mistake. And this is why I remind parents to be so careful how you speak to your child, especially when they make the wrong turns. Because that voice that you use becomes their own inner voice for the rest of their life, long after you're gone. See, that voice that we speak to ourselves is a voice we inherited. And so your question that you have to ask yourself is, do you want that voice to be compassionate and kind, or do you want it to be abusive? You decide that. We have to heal ourselves and change it for our children. We're all going to make wrong turns. But our job as parents, our amana, in fact, it is our trust, is to redirect. Look, I'm not telling you, the GPS doesn't go, you know what, you're going in the wrong direction, but you just keep doing you. Just keep going. No, that's not a good GPS. That's broken. That's not doing your job. That's called permissive parenting, and it's not healthy, yeah? That's not what I'm talking about. No, a healthy guide. Because as parents, that's what we're supposed to be, right? Guides, shepherds. The Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعْيَتِهِ. That all of you are shepherds, and all of you are responsible for your flock. He said we're shepherds. And so as guides, a good guide is going to reroute and recalculate and tell you, you know what, you made a wrong turn. Doesn't mean you're a worthless driver. It just means you got to make a U-turn. And then you make another wrong turn. What does the GPS do? Well, at this point, they're like, okay, that's it. No. Recalculating. You could make 500 wrong turns in one day, and the GPS never calls you a worthless driver. But it will recalculate over and over and over. And that is all that we're supposed to be doing. Tawbah is to return. Tawbah is to come back. Now, I want to end with where I started, which was the ayah that made me cry. And that is this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He is purchasing our soul, ourself, in order to give us something infinite. So I want you to think for a moment. What does that say about the value of our soul? If the Lord of the universe is interested in purchasing it, do you think about that? If you ever struggled with self-worth issues, just remember that. That Allah is interested in your soul. Would a billionaire be interested in purchasing something worthless? Would a billionaire be interested in investing $1 billion, $10 billion into something broken or worthless? The answer is no. Allah's not investing or purchasing with $1 billion. Allah is purchasing with infinity. Jannah. So it tells you about the value of your soul. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم إنه غفور رحيم سبحانك الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Just a quick announcement. I've written some books that I've put my sort of blood, sweat, and tears into for over a decade. And the purpose of these books is to help people to be able to thrive in their lives despite the storms. I have a few limited copies that will be available right now, inshallah, in the break. If you do know someone who can benefit, please do grab one for them. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.